Hello my Darks, I'm Dark the Damned, and today we're going to be checking out another cool video. Now this is one that my friend Summit would not stop going on about how good it is. This one is called SUEZCANALCRAB. Now I'm aware that this video is actually part of, I think, an analog horror series or some kind of web series called The Monument Mythos. However, I've been told that this is kind of basically like its separate thing. It doesn't affect the whole story of the Monument Mythos that much, and I've been told by Summit that I'm clear to watch this. Now, the title caught me right away because SUEZCANALCRAB, I mean, you can't get any more bizarre than that, can you? But I'm really intrigued to see what is up with this video, because again, Summit will not stop going on about how much he loves the video. So, we're going to full screen this bad boy, and let's get into this. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to become one of my disciples. Let's do this. I'm not going to get done for copyright, am I? Nope, I'm good. Ever Given. Already this is really confusing, or intriguing, I suppose. March 23rd, 7:44 AM. On April 6th, 2021, President oh my, okay. Alright, so clearly this is what he meant by alternate universe, because Clinton's president here. Announces nuclear solution. Oh my god, you know this is going to annoy so many Americans. Luckily, I'm British and the politics don't apply to me typically, so I don't care. Besides, this isn't real, this is an alternate reality. So let's keep the political BS out of the comments, please. For the last 2 weeks, the container ship Ever Given has obstructed the Suez Canal with every passing hour. It is costing the global economy over $400 million? Jesus Christ. At the request of the Egyptian president. The United States will end the crisis with nuclear force. What is this, some kind of war? Both Congress and the United Nations Security Council have approved the use of a small thermonuclear weapon on the Suez Canal, several miles from the Ever Given's location. The blast itself will not reach the ship. However, the waves generated are expected to dislodge the Ever Given from its present position. Because, you know, nuclear warfare being the answer to anything has surely gone well before in the past. I mean, we don't count the war and everything, that's a whole moral situation, but haven't we learned from movies and stuff that launching nukes into stuff typically always goes wrong? We should be past that by now, but alternate reality, let's see what happens. Evacuation of the cities along the waterway are in progress. Well, at least they did that. They at the least, evacuated people. April 10th, 2020. Kind of looks like a stomach or something, like this is the line down to it. Oh, that's the nuke. There it is, the wave should kind of like bump it off, right? Yes, it did. It knocked it off course, but what, is it going to get stuck again? And wait, no? I thought it was going to get stuck again, like, oh, that was completely worthless. No, it's disappeared. Twitter machine. Haha, aka the T machine. Where did the Ever Given go? Ah, that's so cool, it is Twitter. The ship disappeared according to its officials. It got up and left. Why is everyone confused? Got up and left? It's a ship, it's not supposed to do that. Remember the ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal? It just disappeared. The plot thickens, apparently, folks. What the hell? That ain't a ship. That is some kind of, like, monster that's on the level of Siren Head. Okay, yeah. Clearly, analog horror type thing here. That is no ship. There's two... I wonder what those two planes are just wondering, just seeing this thing with giant squid-like legs just plonking around like nobody's business. The Americans just released a monster. Again. Nobody asked for a sequel to Attack of the Crab Monsters. Oh, they know. They know. The Americans destroyed the Suez Canal and released a demon. Great. This sounds like it's a regular occurrence for Americans in this world. Like, Gosh darn it, we had Godzilla a few years ago, and now we're having this. They need to stop launching nukes at stuff they deem a threat. So is the ship alive, or is there something underneath it? That's my question, actually. April 11th, 2022. Or 2021, sorry. The SUEZCANALCRAB will not be destroyed, says the United Nations Security Council. So that's where the title comes from. It's about whatever the hell this thing is. Color me intrigued. The crab cannot be eliminated without causing the greatest damage to the ever given. In this day and age, the world is unprepared for a loss of cargo of such magnitude. I think we've come close to extinction a few times in the world. I'm pretty sure we can handle that. Unless, what, the Holy Grail's on that ship or something? Therefore, the SUEZCANALCRAB will not be destroyed. That's pretty suspicious in my opinion. That seems like they kind of know something's at fault here, like something big is at play. And they're not destroying it. I'm on to you. At this time, no containers will be lifted from the ship, since low-flying low-flying aircraft causes the organism to ambulate unsteadily. So yeah, this is clearly like, oh, we've got something here, we can't kill it. In hopes of returning the Ever Given back to the sea, efforts are underway to carefully manipulate the crab's route through Egypt. Oh, Americans be like, okay, we have a problem, let's just go dump it on another country, because why not? Oh, typical. Alright, well there we go, it's making its way through Barricade 1. And that did nothing. Barricade 2. Nothing. Star, what is that? Cairo. Oh yeah, so it's made it to Egypt then. Dr. Disturbing presents. Awesome name, by the way.
Hello. Hello.
Oh.
Tell me, what do you think about the tower? It's your first visit here, so what do you think
I
about
love
the tower?
this footage.
I thought it was a really good tower. It was very interesting to go up it. It gave you a really good sense of how busy Cairo is, so I really enjoyed it.
That was terrific. It was really great to get kind of a sense of the scale of the city. It's kind of difficult to do
So I
that
wonder
when
what's
you're
going
walking
on here.
Down on the street.
It's a breathtaking view, and it really gives you a terrific perspective of the whole city. And I loved it up there. I spent a couple of hours up on the top.
The 2021 Cairo Tower Stampede.
Due to evacuations around the Suez Canal, millions...
Oh, it's Suez, not Suez. Sorry, that's my bad. So it's Suez. I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. My bad. The Suez Canal.
Traveled to Cairo in search of housing. In response to this migration, many building capacity limits for popular attractions were inflated.
Lovely.
The Cairo Tower, one of the tallest buildings in Egypt, had its own recommended capacity limit increased from 700 persons to 1,000.
Let's hope that doesn't cause trampling or storage issues. We don't want to repeat what happened at Hillsborough.
April 16th, 2021,
Horrible.
upwards of 1,200 visitors toured the Cairo Tower at once. Although concerns of overcrowding had been raised by several staff members,
They chose to ignore it for the sake of capitalism, I'm assuming. Horrible.
the building manager dismissed their comments.
But I say, a lot of folks from Liverpool will immediately be screaming at this, that it's a bad thing because, again, what happened at Hillsborough. Absolutely tragic what happened there. And yes, the same thing. Why are you going to stuff so many more people over capacity? You're just asking for trouble at this point.
Since the SUEZCANALCRAB would be passing by later in the evening, he also encouraged visitors to enter the upper levels of the tower, as that would provide a better vantage point.
And did they not even go into any of the concerns about the safety? Like, what if this thing turns out to be kind of evil or attacks them? They haven't got any kind of protocols in place or nothing? Again, they are literally asking for trouble.
At 8 p.m., the SUEZCANALCRAB was observed to have turned toward the Cairo Tower and proceeded to approach. Despite an alert sent out by the Egyptian government for civilians to immediately vacate structures in the crab's path, most visitors ignored the warning and stayed on the upper levels of the Cairo Tower as it came near.
Wonderful.
At 8:15 p.m., the SUEZCANALCRAB was seen to have stumbled, and in an attempt to regain its balance, crashed into one side of the Cairo Tower.
Well, at least it wasn't an intentional attack, I don't think, but still. That's what you get for being negligent.
Killing over 200 people.
Rest in peace.
The resulting tremors that traversed the building damaged its staircases and elevator systems beyond repair. The cascade of shipping containers from the Ever Given, knocked forward by the momentum of the initial stumble, lasted for over 2 minutes, as an estimated 800 containers broke from their locks.
800, Jesus, an
and pushed
additional
forward
1,000?
An additional 1,000 containers.
Awful.
As all 1,800 containers tumbled down through the building, the structural integrity of the Cairo Tower rapidly diminished.
Yeah, as you can say, with all of that metal crashing down, yeah, the thing's probably going to come down very easily.
Falling debris and containers are reported to have killed over 800 visitors.
That's not good. Jesus.
At 8:19 p.m., the Cairo Tower fully collapsed, dragging the immobilized Suez Canal crab into the ground. In total, only 39 of the 1,189 visitors of the Cairo Tower survived.
Again, that's what you get for prioritizing money over people's safety. You pack a lot of people into a building that could potentially become a safety hazard, and then you have this happen. So you know what? This is all on the government right here. Screw you guys, you failed these people.
2 of the 15 staff members escaped to safety, including the building manager. None of the 6 security guards survived. Although paramedics and police officers had arrived shortly before the Cairo Tower's collapse, the visibly unstable tower prompted them to collect survivors on the ground and retreat to a safe distance.
Yeah, kinda saw that coming.
At 8:41 p.m., a hazardous waste collection team and soldiers of the Egyptian ground forces arrived to contain survivors within mobile quarantine chambers. Due to fears of a potential contagion contracted from the Suez Canal crab, all civilians in the vicinity were placed in quarantine under the authority of Egypt's military in collaboration with the Ministry of Health.
You think they could be kind of, like, contaminated with something? Well, to be honest, I wouldn't say I blame them, considering they know basically nothing about the Suez Canal crab at this point, so I'd be skeptical as well.
Upon impact with the ground, the Suez Canal crab and the Ever Given separated. The large wounds caused by the separation discharged thousands of gallons of seawater and bodily fluids.
Ugh.
The hazardous waste collection team and soldiers attempted to plug the gushing lesions. However, survivors report that their efforts were mostly futile due to the team's inability to stay standing on the slippery ground.
Yeah, I'd believe that.
With the number of accidental falls among the troops on the increasingly wet ground, the Egyptian army diverted its focus from closing wounds on the Suez Canal crab to evacuation efforts.
As they should. Again, they should be prioritizing the people.
By midnight, the civilian population within a 3-mile radius of the fallen Cairo Tower had been completely evacuated.
Well, that's good. Again, the fact it took them this long to look after the people says enough.
On the morning of April 17th, Egyptian authorities publicly announced that the Suez Canal crab had fallen in Cairo and laid in a vegetative state.
Okay.
Although the Cairo exclusion zone was primarily intended to prevent any media coverage of the crab and the surrounding destruction, several journalists managed to record footage of the site through the assistance of private helicopter pilots.
Yeah, that's typically how it goes. You can't really stop the media, you know. If they want to see something so badly, gosh darn it, they will find a way.
By 8 a.m., clips of the crab were trending on Twitter. Members of the Anti-Device Association attributed the severity of the disaster to the development of intelligent devices, specifically Twitter machines.
Nah, this one's honestly all on the government, in my opinion. Like, was the ship really that worth it? And was keeping this crab thing alive again really that worth it? Unless, again, there's some kind of god-foreseen holy grail on that ship. Or submarine, either one, I'm not sure. Was it really worth risking all those human lives and launching a freaking nuclear bomb into the water? Was it worth doing that? In my opinion, hell no. Absolutely not.
They reasoned that due to the popularity of Twitter in America, the Ever Given was overstocked with T-machines, which weighed the ship down and consequently caused the initial obstruction of the Suez Canal.
How much do these things weigh then? Because surely they wouldn't have that much of a difference considering. I don't know.
On Twitter, the ADA released a vicious string of messages criticizing Twitter, Hillary Clinton, and Egypt. Along with images of the Suez Canal crab, photos of scattered goods that had fallen out of the shipping containers became a popular topic of discussion.
Yeah, it would be.
One image of a sports car resting on top of debris would be retweeted by the ADA with the caption, "The Cairo exclusion zone is a conspiracy to keep goods in Egypt. The American people have been robbed." The
Fair
tweet
enough.
was shared by over 10 million users. Taking notice, the ADA followed up with tweets suggesting that an Egyptian soldier had driven home the sports car in the image, and that the goods needed to be rescued by their rightful owners.
Suspicious,
The
maybe?
ADA deemed April 19th as Finders Keepers Day and urged all Americans to travel to Egypt to obtain the goods left by the fallen Suez Canal crab. Overnight, an estimated 12,000 flights to Cairo were booked by American citizens.
Oh yeah, would not surprise me. Hey Americans, bunch of free crap here. Get over here. Yeah, every person, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to book a flight and go straight over. I do exactly the same thing. Or maybe not. I'd probably stay away from the giant crab thing that's been walking
Although
around.
a few trespassers had been apprehended in the Cairo exclusion zone, officials did not foresee any further disruptions at the site.
Well, that's good.
Medical personnel attended to survivors in the quarantine chambers. Soldiers cleared rubble and attempted to control the spread of the Suez Canal crab's bodily fluids.
Because, yeah, God knows what that could be. Ugh. Could be kind of cancerous, could be acidic, who the hell knows.
By 5 a.m. on April 19th, approximately 20 million gallons had been contained through aerial drops of sawdust
damn.
and an extensive effort to mop the premises.
Mop the
Although
premise,
several
Jesus.
officials discussed a plan to lay down military-grade mats to enable the hazardous material collection team to walk up to the crab for closer analysis, it was ultimately decided that no further action would be taken until the following evening.
Like, can they stop prioritizing that and again start prioritizing the people? I swear, man.
As it was believed that the midday
This is
sun
what people would do if
evaporate most
aliens
of
were
the
real on
fluid.
the planet. Like, if the alien could stay alive but they had to sacrifice thousands of lives, you know they'd do it. Or they might do it. The stampede. Uh-oh.
At 12 p.m., over 12,000 Americans gathered in front of the gated entrance of the Cairo exclusion zone.
Right.
4,000 Egyptian police officers and soldiers stood behind the perimeter to guard the exclusion zone from trespassers. At 12:03 p.m., violence erupted when an American shot a police officer in the face. Consequently, tear gas was used on the raging mob. Tanks and heat rays arrived shortly afterwards to deter any trespassers. However, by 12:10 p.m., the front entrance
So yeah, they just
gates of
completely
the Cairo
stormed the
exclusion
thing.
zone collapsed from the force of the charging crowd. Informed of the approaching Americans, medical personnel and survivors at the epicenter began to vacate the premises. By 12:43 p.m., the first Americans were seen by officials at the epicenter. Although the wet ground was expected to significantly slow their approach, several citizens had arrived earlier than anticipated since they had utilized car hubcaps to slide quickly across the ground.
That's resourceful right there. Not sure how practical, though.
With no law enforcement at the scene, the American citizens began to collect fallen goods and pry open shipping containers. Popular goods included furniture, firearms, processed food, tea machines, bars of gold, automobiles, and designer clothing.
Yep, that's
As
greed
Americans
for you.
continued to arrive at the epicenter, more injuries from accidental falls were observed. Concussions and broken arms were the most common injuries during the initial break-in.
You think it would also be broken legs considering how much they'd been slipping, but fair enough. I guess because they try to put their arms in the way to catch themselves, they do more damage to it.
At 1 p.m., several fights broke out over a Ford pickup truck that had rolled out from a container and crushed a family.
Oh shit.
3 aggressors were shot by a man who had found a rifle.
Of course. The stereotypes make themselves.
The conflict fueled an unpleasant atmosphere, with more instances of gun violence as time went on. One notable incident saw the discovery of a container of firearms by a group of young children.
Uh-oh,
The
that's...
accidental firing of an automatic weapon by one child prompted the intervention of their parents and other adults.
Jesus.
The resulting verbal argument escalated quickly and broke out into a full-scale gunfight with over 14 armed subjects, including the children.
What?
Another fight erupted after the discovery of a deluxe barbecue grill, which 13 Americans had simultaneously called dibs on.
Again, the stereotypes are just making themselves in this video, clearly. What is this alternate universe, the most stereotypical of each country?
When the item was pulled out of a shipping container. All 13 Americans died from gun-related wounds.
Tragic.
When the last wave of the 12,000 Americans had entered the epicenter, overcrowding ensured that the accidental fall of one individual would trigger a continuous series of additional falls. Without any open space for the midday sunlight to reach the wet ground, the bodily fluid had no time to evaporate, and the number of falls steadily increased.
I could see
At
that.
around 1:30 p.m., one of the posterior legs of the Suez Canal crab twitched and incited panic in a nearby crowd.
Oh god.
As Americans attempted to flee, Many fell on the slippery ground and were trampled by those rushing behind them.
Hence the name of the trampling.
By 1:33 p.m., the screams of the panicked crowd had reached a deafening volume, reportedly being heard over 5 miles away.
5 miles? Jesus Christ.
Due to the reinforcement of the Cairo exclusion zone's gates and orders from the Ministry of Health to prevent any American citizen from leaving the exclusion zone, the massive crowds were kept inside the 3-mile radius of the epicenter, held in place by an orderly line of tanks that flanked the entirety of the zone's perimeter.
Jesus.
The gates stood for over 6 hours as Americans ran from the epicenter. Many soldiers became ill at the sight of injuries caused by the thousands of bodies being crushed into the metal bars.
You think they would have learned their lesson from the last time they tried to stuff a bunch of people into one place, but no, humanity apparently just never freaking learns.
By 7:15 p.m., everyone within a half-mile of the gate had perished from extreme pressure. Heat exhaustion, accidental falls, and gun violence were also major causes of death. The Cairo exclusion zone gates were opened at 8 p.m. Soldiers searched for the remaining survivors. Of the over 12,000 Americans who had arrived, only
What the hell? Over 11,000 Jesus.
944 survived.
I guess the greed really was their undoing.
77 of the American survivors were found kneeling around the Suez-Canal-Crab and claimed to have been promised from a deity that they would survive if they prayed to the crab.
And now you've just started a cult. Or some kind of like weird religion.
However, none of them could account for the remains of dead worshippers that littered the ground around them.
Ah,
They
got
would
ya.
later establish the Church of the Ever Given during their stay at a local hospital. Howard Melrose, an American journalist permitted to visit the Cairo exclusion zone the day after the stampede, said of the site, "It looked like something from a medieval painting. All of their bodies were jammed into each other. Everyone became one."
How ominous. The Cairo Exclusion Zone is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Alright, there we go then. So that was the Suez Canal Crab. It says a film by Alex Kansas. Is that the guy who runs this channel, I'm supposing? It's Manticore. But anyways, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. I found it extremely interesting. And Summit wasn't lying by him saying it was very good. It was very darn good. And I might check out more of the Monument Mythos if you would like me to. I might do like a series on it, I'm not sure. But anyways, I will see you all in the next video. Take care, my disciples.
But wait! There's more!
That was the Suez Canal Canal. Oh. Alright, so that was the Suez Canal Crab. Alright guys, so that was the Suez... Alright guys, so that was... Alright guys, so that was the Suez Canal Crab. Alright guys, so that was the Suez Canal Crab. A film presumably... Alright, so that was the Suez Canal... Oh. Come on. Okay everybody, so that was the Suez Canal Crab. Okay everybody, so that was the Suez Canal... Oh, fuck's sake. Alright everybody, so that was the Suez Canal Crab. Alright everybody, so that was the Suez Canal Crab. A film by Alex Cazanas. Cazanas? I'm not sure how you say that. Cazanas? I don't know, one of them.